please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, the metal space has been under pressure this morning. Of course, most of the global markets are under pressure as well. So we have two gentlemen joining in, Paul Bartolome, the senior managing editor of S&P Global Platts, and Amit Dixit, the research analyst at Edelweiss, join in now. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on the show. I want some quick thoughts from your end on how things are going to pan out on the commodities front. Paul, let me start with you. The big talking point yesterday was the way crude has moved up, almost $70 a barrel now. What's the sense you're getting about things henceforth?
Yeah, well, I thought I was mainly going to look at the impact of the latest, the latest update on the Donald Trump import tariffs on in the US on steel. So it's sort of less sort of clear on what's going on the oil side of things, but on the metals side of things.
Hey, Paul, that's also what we wanted from you primarily. The way the metal prices have fallen off, I think 3-month lows now, and now fears that global growth could take a hit because of the tariff war. Do you think metal prices have peaked off, or this is a lull and we are going to see further build up?
I think there's a lot of moving parts at the moment. I think there's there were further announcements yesterday. So a lot of countries had exemptions. Interestingly, South Korea did. South Korea is probably the largest exporter from the Asian region, into the US. Japan's very, very unhappy it didn't receive an exemption. I think from the steel side of things and on the metals, it kind of means that. Well, I guess one of the fears was that if a lot of material was sort of essentially made it difficult to go into the US, it was going to be redirected back into Asian markets. That was going to put a lot more pressure on prices. Now there's a bit of that's been eased a bit if some of these countries aren't included, in the tariffs. But it's still, at the moment there's still a lot of lobbying going on. There's still a lot of so there's still more details to emerge. I think at the moment, the market's very, very unsure, and when people are unsure where prices are going to go, they tend to sort of sit on the sidelines a little bit, and that that can sort of see prices go down a bit. But I think in China still, the fundamentals are still very, very good. They're not particularly perturbed about the import tariffs, although the Chinese government have, as you expect, made some comments about retaliatory measures on US imports of some products.
Okay. Let's also get Amit Dixit into the conversation. He tracks some of these stocks as well. Amit, hi, good morning. I wanted to chat a bit about Tata Steel and the impending Bhushan Steel acquisition. There are fears in the market that they could be paying a lot for the asset and that could put pressure on their balance sheet. How would you approach some of these names?
Well, for me, first of all, this acquisition, we have to see it from long-term perspective and, weigh it with the short-term pain that the stock is currently undergoing. So while it might seem that they have paid a bit more than the industry standard on the acquisition, but one has to understand it from the point of view of supply-demand balance in India, and domestic market particularly looks quite conducive on supply side, with only JSPL expanding its capacity and sale up to an extent for next 3 years. So therefore, these stressed assets, whosoever gets the control over these assets can actually push the products in the market, and given the prices where they are, I believe you can derive the maximum economic benefit in these 3 or 4 years till the time JSW and Tata Steel really come up with their expansions. So yeah, while they have paid around $1,200 per ton on EV, or as far as Bhushan Steel is concerned, we still have not completely appreciated the benefit that Bhushan Steel gives to Tata Steel in terms of leadership in auto space. For the records, Bhushan Sahibabad plant produces the widest cold rolled steel that is used in auto space. So therefore, I believe, while the cost has been factored in the stock, the benefits have not exactly been factored in. And it will take time, for the things to pan out, for Tata Steel to come up with certain kind of, certain statements that what they expect, how much EBITDA per ton they expect. And I believe that should allay some of the concerns.
Okay. Well, Paul, to come back to you, do you track steel? Can you tell us how much steel has fallen from its recent highs? And what is the trend going forward over the next 6 months? Is it fall or is it a U-turn?
I mean, it's been sort of fairly stable. I mean, look at some of the steel prices in China, at least. Since the beginning of March, it hasn't dropped off too much. But I mean, the most important thing is Chinese steelmakers are still making very, very good margins. They've enjoyed some of the best profit margins that they've had for a very, very long time. I think, I mean, this year really, I think a lot of it really depends on the strength of the Chinese economy. To the extent that the Chinese government will put stimulus into the economy, because we kind of see like housing, which is uses a lot of metals and particularly steel. We see that it's still growing, but it's not growing as quickly as it did in previous years. A lot of it, even in fixed asset investment in the steel and ferrous space has sort of also been sort of slowing. So yeah, we see some of the end user segments, some of the key ones like infrastructure, construction, housing, manufacturing, all easing a little bit, but still see it fairly being fairly stable. So I don't see it maybe softer towards the second half of the year, but we don't see any big sort of crash or anything like that.
Okay, which metal would you be most bullish on? Copper, aluminum, or steel? I mean,
I'm still pretty reasonably bullish on steel. I think. I mean, obviously they're both aluminium and steel are both players in that space are still coming to terms. With some of the impacts of the tariffs. I mean, you've already seen. I mean, what you're going to be seeing a lot is countries looking at potentially redirecting their exports into different markets. So I'm in Australia. Australia typically exports aluminium into Asia, but now all of a sudden they're thinking, the US market might be quite good because we've got no exemptions, but some of our competitors have. So maybe we'll export sort of more over there. So I think there's potentially a bit of upside for both of those, I think.
Okay, Paul, thank you for giving us your thoughts on the sector as a whole. Amit, before we let you go, what's your view on Hindalco now? I mean, it was a big performer over the last 2 years, went from 80 to almost 300. Do you think there are any fresh triggers that could help it continue the performance that it's seen?
See, Hindalco unfortunately has been pegged down more because of uncertainty around Novelis. With the aluminium tariff being imposed now. However, I believe that Hindalco is on a fairly strong footing because of the integrated nature of operations, and one need not forget that Hindalco is also quite it's a natural safety net because Novelis is a converter. Now, in my view, Novelis should be able to pass on the price, the increase in cost through price hikes. However, I mean, again, time will tell how much they are successful, but if you really see the alumina prices that have soared above 425 almost because of the incident at Eleanor 8. So I believe in these kind of situations Hindalco is still quite immune. So therefore I don't really see a great deal of concern on Hindalco. In fact, I would say that this is an opportunity to buy the stock because the fundamentals are looking good. And aluminium, if you see, I mean, of all the metals, you have the on demand side, aluminium looks the best. Okay. And if you see on supply side, particularly on cost front, the current cash operating cost is around $1,782 per ton. So therefore, it's just a matter of time before aluminium prices just find their own support, and Hindalco stands to gain as a result.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you very much. Today we can take any green, any positive notes that are coming by. Thank you very much, Amit, for joining us with your thoughts. We'll use the distress to buy aluminum stocks like Hindalco. That's the word coming from Edelweiss. And neither did Paul of S&P Platts have a very bearish view on the metals. At the moment, what you're seeing is a bit of stability, not recovery, not a further fall, but clearly Bank Nifty remains a pain point.
Okay, that does remain the pain point, though there's a minor bit of recovery which is visible. IT clearly is. The IT index I think is already in the green. So obviously the leadership index not falling, I think that's really helping the sentiment for now at least. We'll take a break. Up next we have more market talk lined up ahead, of course.
Care Ratings, enriching financial markets.
Engineering the fundamentals of growth. India, we are ready.
In black, I see things you don't. Black is quiet as a hush that says your presence needn't rush to make itself felt. Black is unapologetically creative, like a poet who doesn't give a dime about the rhyme as long as there's reason. I see restlessness. I see calm. I see a lot of things, and it all begins with black.
Congratulations, Rahul.
Thank you.
आज से ये चेयर तुम्हारी.
It's an honor, sir. But sir, इतनी बड़ी जिम्मेदारी, पता नहीं स्टाफ मुझे पसंद करेगा कि नहीं.
तुम उनका ख्याल रखोगे ना राहुल, तो वो तुम्हारा और कंपनी का ख्याल रखेंगे. Here's a good way to show you care. LIC's pension and group scheme. Pension, gratuity और retirement benefits आसानी से मैनेज करता है.
मतलब एम्प्लॉइज खुश तो कंपनी भी खुश.
Get your kitchen to the next level of luxury with Architect drawers. Hetic fittings make your furniture work beautifully. German quality you can trust.
Welcome back. Well, there have been actually a spate of fraud cases filed by banks in the last few weeks. We had the Rotomac pens, of course. More recently, that's I think yesterday, Union Bank filed a case against Totem Infrastructure, which has a total loans to the banking sector of 1,400 crores. Kanishk Gold was already a case against which State Bank filed, and then there were other spate of cases as well. But the latest is the one that Union Bank has filed against Totem Infrastructure. Joining us now to tell us the impact is Rajkiran Rai, the Managing Director and CEO of Union Bank. Morning, Mr. Rai.
Morning. Good morning.
Can you tell us a little bit of details? When did this become NPA? When was the fraud filed? And what's your exposure?
Yeah, see, this has become NPA in 2012 March, actually. And the exposure at that point of time, all banks put together was around 700 crores. So today when we filed the case with the interest, it has come to nearly 1,400 crores, because you should understand the NPA of 2012, there will be a lot of interest, unapplied interest on this. And another thing is, this was declared as fraud in 2016 itself. And after that, the process of filing complaint was on. Now this complaint is registered recently. But then the process of filing complaint and the discussion with CBI, submitting information was going on for some time. So, and another thing I want to clarify is it's a fully provided account.
Okay.
Actually, there is 100% provision on this account, and it is not going to have any impact on our...
Mr. Rai, if this happened in 2012, why is the fraud FIR being filed now? Is this because of the government telling you all to look at all the failure cases and check whether there is a fraud? Why now, after 5 years?
Actually, when going through this, generally we have a system of scrutinizing these accounts. In 2017 itself, our committee of directors have directed, because some reports came up, because this was a normal, it seemed to be a normal failure, because it was an infrastructure company. They could not execute the projects and guarantees got invoked and it failed. It seemed like that, but then we got some internal reports saying that there may be some diversion and other issues came up. So the committee of directors in 2017 itself gave direction to file a treat as fraud. So from 2017, the process of filing the case is on. It is not because of the recent guidelines. This process is on. Only thing is now the case got registered now.
So what's the update that you've got from the CBI so far? Have they been able to track the promoters, etc.?
Yeah, I think the promoters are very much there. So now anyway, now the CBI, we are not discussed with CBI. But as per my information, the promoters are very much available. And actually, in this case, actually there are recoveries are also coming, even though it is not a very big number.
Okay.
So if I am correct, about 10 crores of recovery we have received in the last 1.5 years.
10
Okay,
crores.
so you're saying that you have already provided for, and right now you are actually getting recoveries from this.
Yeah, it is a 100% provided account. It is not going to have any impact.
Okay. Will we see more such cases, Mr. Rai, of quick filing of frauds by banks? I mean, this has become a trend now in the last 2 weeks.
Actually, Lata, I want to clarify. These are the cases which are already declared as fraud a few months back. And the process is on. When there is a spate of NPAs, it takes some time to scrutinize and declare it as a fraud. But the only thing is the CBI complaints are getting registered now, because this process, generally a filing complaint with CBI takes some time, because they ask for information before they file the case. So generally it takes 6 months to 1 year. So so that's why the numbers are coming up now. But then these are not the cases which have come up recently. These are all old cases.
Now, Mr. Rai, separately, I mean, and more recently, the government asked all banks to check out if, to look at all their NPAs over 50 crore and check if they are frauds or failures. What is the update on that process? Is that process begun, halfway done, fully done at Union Bank?
No, we are scrutinizing all accounts, and we have formed a committee at different levels to scrutinize every account. There are some accounts which are given for forensic audit now. Wherever we had doubts, we are given for forensic audit. Generally, forensic audit will take a month. We have also returned to the government giving the timeline, saying that this forensic audit report, once they come, then the committees will look at it, and if required, we'll if there is a proof of any malfeasance, then we will declare it as a fraud. This process is on. At this point of time, difficult to give a number to that, but then very serious scrutiny is going on of every account.
So can you tell us, because of this February 12th circular on the new NPA norms, what would the impact be on a bank like yours? How much could the NPAs rise, say, over the next 3 to 6 quarters?
I will not give the number at this point of time, because these are all bit size sensitive. So, but the whole slippage is going to come from the stressed book. That much I can confirm to you, because that numbers are already put out. So, it is not going to go beyond that.
What is your stressed book?
We are between 16 to 17%. So, it is not that suddenly we'll jump to that number. But then, some of that, because these, there are certain numbers I can tell you. SDR and S4A, the standard asset in these two is around 4,500 crores as of 31st December. If the RBI guidelines are scrupulously implemented, then I think these 4,500 crores may slip as of March, because these are all SDR, S4A accounts. So these are the numbers. But then another thing I would like to add, now we are very close to resolution on NCLT cases.
Yes.
So that will mostly happen in Q1, because some of the creditor committees have already voted, and it has come for final approval to the board.
So what is, Mr. Rajkiran, what exactly is the exposure you have to the NCLT accounts that have been referred to the insolvency accounts referred to NCLT?
Our total exposure was 12,466. So, and also we have made full provision required, like more than 50% provision in this account as of December itself. So we are not likely to take any further hit on this.
So because of that, your NPA may also look smaller, because this could get resolved, you think?
In the Q1. Q4, the numbers may go up slightly, but in Q1 that will get balanced out.
Fair enough.
Because actually these accounts which are going to get resolved in Q1.
But so this 12,400 refers to both, right? The first 12 and the next 28, all the 40 cases.
All put together, it is 12,456 for me to all accounts put together. Out of that, first list was 7,658. So, the major still, out of that, few have already come up for final approval.
Yes.
So, we are seeing that resolution in Q1. So, if you look at June, the numbers are to be reasonably good.
Better.
March may be aberration because of these RBI guidelines if they don't modify. particularly because of the thermal power units slipping.
Yeah.
And this SDR, S4As, generally they are covered under this.
Yes.
So March may be slightly bad, but then June, I think it will again balance.
All right, Mr. Rai, thank you very much for giving us all those details. So this is an old case, Tottenham Infrastructure, and Q4 is the real pain point. By the next quarter, the first quarter of next year, because there will be relief from NCLT, the overall NPA picture may actually look less dismal. But we are winding down on Bazaar. And
so actually, if if it wasn't for this kind of market, perhaps what he was saying was incrementally positive for the bank, right? But
absolutely,
down
that
about
Q1.
Exactly.
But a couple of other banks also told us, I think it was SBI, the Credit Suisse note that we put out yesterday also said that Q4 will be bad, but it is possible that Q1 aggregate NPAs will look actually smaller because some of the NPAs will move out, Hopefully the Bhushans, the SRs, electric steels will all move out from the NPA list, and so the aggregate could actually look smaller. That's certainly a positive at the market. At the moment, not in a mood to discount that, but certainly it's giving a place under the sun to the IT stocks. You have HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra and Infosys in the green, along with Bharti Infratel on the Nifty. At least the Nifty is 46 on 50 in the red. But there's still pain. I mean, it is still 1.3 down on 1.3 percentage points down on the Sensex and the Nifty, and the market is not quite able to rise over the 10,000 mark.
Oh, yes, that's a bit of a problem, but advanced decline has improved a bit to about 1:11.
Absolutely.
But Lata, I take your point completely. It's the banking which is a problem, and what we have is intraday low now on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. 10 to 11, we got to keep an eye on that. If that intraday low is breached, in that case, we could have an incremental problem at our hand because the rest of the Asian markets are not recovering yet. That, I think, is also an important point.
Okay, with that, we have to wind down on Bazaar. We've run out of time, but lots of trading ideas lined up on our next show, Chartbusters. Do stay tuned in.